What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And on the day that I've already covered Batwoman, maybe we should look at what Batgirl has been up to. In fact, a perfect segue into why modern comics are trash. DC, Marvel, both included. In fact, today is the day. Congratulations on Marvel's New Warriors being released to absolutely zero interested fans. Now, Barbara Gordon, also known as Batgirl, appears to have teamed up with Gotham's version of the super soldiers. We'll call them that because the A word I don't think I can say in the upcoming giant-sized Batgirl 50. In an 8-page preview, according to Bounding into Comics, released by DC, it begins with Barbara Gordon and her father, Jim Gordon, burying James Gordon Jr. in the wake of the Joker War storyline. In Batgirl 49, it is revealed that James Gordon has a split personality and he's going around Gotham having a redheaded woman dress up as Batgirl and then ending them. Having redheaded women, sorry. Batgirl eventually tracks him down at his lighthouse where, in order to keep his shadow self at bay, he leaps off the top to his death. Jim Gordon arrives at the lighthouse just as his son leaps and as Batgirl attempts to save his life. She fails to do so, and Jim Gordon believes Batgirl, not knowing she's Barbara, ended him and even attempts to arrest her. You could say this: I hated him so much, I wanted him, to die. I once had a brother who was complicated and messy. He's gone. He's really gone. I blame you for this, Batgirl. Don't move. Following James Gordon's funeral, Barbara takes her dad to an old diner where the two have burgers and shakes. During their meal, Jim Gordon advocates for the complete overhaul of Gotham. He tells Babs the city needs a complete overhaul ever since Joker took over this town. Everywhere is run down. Bad elements like Batgirl need to be lanced. More cops in the streets to combat the mayhem. Barbara responds, a scorched earth policy isn't going to be helpful. Following the statement, Babs begins to completely ignore her dad, losing herself in her own thoughts before she finally slams down her hands and shouts, "Dad, shut up! I'm Batgirl. Do you hear me? I'm Batgirl. I work so hard to do what I do, and when you put down my efforts with hateful misconceptions about Gotham or its citizens, or even Batgirl, it hurts me." Finally, Babs gets up and leaves the diner. As she's walking through Gotham, she joins up with what appear to be Gotham's version of the super soldiers, as they are tearing down statues and appear to have been launching projectiles in a peaceful protest. As she begins to participate in these activities, we can read her inner monologue. She thinks to herself, the end of an era is an opportunity to get rid of the old and usher in something new, something better. She continues, take the time to re-examine our heroes and maybe find new ones. I don't know if these protests will actually stop the gentrification of these neighborhoods, but who is to say what the best way to bring about change is? And is there a right way to do it? Well, tearing down statues while covering your face with a black mask and hurling objects through windows is not a great way to bring about change. In fact, and the fact that DC seems to be promoting this is disgusting and despicable. You could see in this image, you hear it clearly represented the super soldiers clad in black, tearing down a statue. And you see here these peaceful protests. Leave the mom and pop stores alone. F your franchise. Except they don't leave mom and pop stores alone, do they? They tear them down, they burn them to the ground, and then they go back to the suburbs where they came from. I became Batgirl on a whim, but once I donned the suit, there was no going back. It was a way to do some real good stuff. But have I? The next page shows the cops breaking up the peaceful protests at what appears to be some kind of government building. As the police line is advancing on the protesters and possibly the peaceful ones, Barbara Gordon is talking to a couple citizens who say they're trying to rebuild their homes, but explain their homes have been condemned by following the events. Gordon responds to them by telling them who she is and giving her card as part of a Congresswoman Alejo's office. Her internal monologue reads, I chose to work for the congressman because I believe she could implement the changes that couldn't be made by being a bat or a cop. She continues, I've been listening to what Gotham needs my whole adult life. I've even put my body in line for her. City is a woman. She goes on to say, she isn't going to do anything. She's in their pockets too. I hear you. Let's talk more. I want to help Gotham be better. Like your father did. I'll believe it when I see it, girl. I've been listening to what Gotham needs my whole adult life. I've even put my body in line for her. These people put it all on the line too, just in a smaller way. A tiny action can make a big difference. I need to ask myself if I can be a real service of people's Gotham in a way that intersects my two lives. The preview ends with Barbara Gordon encountering Ryan Wilder living in her van with her plant. Gordon tells Wilder, voting is a way to change things, Ryan. Let me know if you want help with housing. She then thinks to herself, have to remember to talk to Aljo, I'm assuming, about the homelessness and crisis and voter registration. Who's reading these comics? Who is reading these comics? I mean, who's buying them? Who are these for? 25-year-old SJWs. That's who they're for. Which is like 7. Which is why these books don't sell. As Barbara, that's one thing and one person I could change for the better. Batgirl 50 is expected to be released on October 27th, which is, of course, today. And we can take a look at some of the comics. I'm sure this issue will be enjoyed by dozens of folks who buy it. Again, the creative thinking comic book fans want snatched from the headline stuff in comic book superheroes. They cannot even be bothered to be creative with things. Just in-your-face messaging so you don't have to bother reading subtext. I mean, that's actually a solid point. I really hope everyone who cheers for these teas in media finds themselves on the business end of their activities sometimes. The only difference between Batgirl and the super soldiers is that Batgirl doesn't end Republicans and burn businesses. I mean, she's a wealthy white woman from a rich family paid by a billionaire to be a vigilante who uses the excuse of a tragic death to don homemade weapons and attack people on the street. I mean, what? Stop. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I can't wait till she starts burning down businesses and curb stomping old people. I mean, this is... Oh my goodness, this version of Batgirl certainly can help people by getting them to vote. Not by, you know, using her wealth to open a homeless shelter or start a soup kitchen. That's apparently taboo. The whole run is making Gotham look better, and the show was trash. I don't know. I like the early... I never really watched a lot of Gotham. I got into it like early on, and then I just kind of stopped watching it. It didn't really suck me in like I thought maybe it would. But yeah, there you go, DC. Way to endorse, or at least at minimum, make these people look like heroes. I don't think so. I don't think I'll be buying this book. I don't think many people will be buying this book. And if you wonder why DC Comics don't sell, maybe look at the trash you're putting out. Because understand that, yes, Batgirl sells, you know, let me actually, if I look, let's look at, let's actually look. Comic-Con, right? We want to look at probably, let's look at Comic-Con right now. Let's just for fun. Let's take a look, okay? We'll go to 2020, and let's just look at October, okay? Let's see where Batgirl is, all right? Number 1, Venom. All right? Number 1. Then you have Thor, Black Widow, all sorts of other things coming out. Wait, why didn't these... Actually, let's go back another month, because I don't think we see numbers here. Let's see 2020. Why am I doing this wrong? What's going on here? Oh, Diamond. Okay, so let's go to DC September. All right, here we go. The Three Jokers. Number 1, Detective Comics, Batman, 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 Dark Knight, Justice League, Superman, Dark Knight, Nightwing, Wonder Woman, solid at 13, right? Here you have Batgirl down here. Let's take a look. You can buy Batgirl for $6. Now, it's interesting because if we look at the monthly sales, I just don't know who's buying these books. I really don't. So if you look at DC, I mean, we don't have numbers anymore, apparently. I don't know why Comic-Con's not offering numbers. We just see order index. Dollar unit. And it definitely didn't have more than one unit. Okay, so their data isn't transparent. So we don't, this is their best guess. So Batgirl, I mean, it's, at least according to their best guess, somewhere around the top 20 books. Remember that now this is going to reflect on everything else. And I suppose if people who are buying comic books want to support the super soldiers, this will work great for them. But I'm going to guess that as news of this gets out, it's probably not going to reflect really well on the rest of their titles. I know for a fact I'm not interested in giving DC Comics any money if this is the crap they're going to put out. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.